What's up, boys and girls, and welcome back to another Black Desert Online video. In today's guide, I'm going to be talking to you about node wars and how you can get your guild involved in fighting in them. This video is aimed at explaining the basics to you, and I do plan on doing a series for these set of videos. So if you still have questions at the end of them, then please do leave a comment below and I'll be happy to try and add that into the next video I do. So, first things first, what is a node war? Basically, there are nodes dotted around the game in Black Desert. If you open up your map, you can see many different nodes. For example, there are places like Sama Outpost, Hex Sanctuary, Mancha Forest, and many more. If a guild wishes to fight for one of these nodes, they can place down a fort and then participate in a node war. This means that other guilds will have to fight each other for ownership of said node. Now, when you win the node, you get quite a lot of money. Depending on which node you get, it can be anywhere from a couple million of silver a day, all the way up to something like 15 million silver a day. So it's definitely something that as a guild, you should consider getting if you enjoy PvP and also you like making lots of money. So the first thing that you are going to need to do is figure out what node you want to go for. Each day, there are multiple nodes that are up for grabs, so it's up to you as a guild to decide which node that you guys would like to fight for. There are 3 different types of node. There is a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 node. Each of them yield different amounts of silver, so level 1 nodes yield the least amount, and level 3s yield the most amount. So, you want to look carefully at what type of node you'll think your guild is capable of capturing. If you're a small guild of only 30-40 players, then maybe you only want to aim for a level 1 node. If you're a bit bigger, of around 60 players, then perhaps you want a level 2. And if you're a big 100-man guild with well-geared players, then you should go for a level 3 node, as this reaps the most rewards. You can only go for nodes on particular days of the week. So for example, you can only go for Kron Castle, the Velia node, on the Sunday. And on Monday, you could go for High Delph Vicinity, Coastal Cave, Balanos Rivermouth, or Theremin Clift. There is a way to see this on the game itself. If you open up the map and click on the Conquest button on the top right hand side, you can then hold over the nodes and see which days you can fight for them. However, there is a much easier way where you can see a good overview of them, and that is on the Black Desert Online website. You can go through the node warfare guide and it will show you all the dates that you can go for each individual node. This is the way I go about doing it because it gives you a nice overview of which day you can fight for what. There are a few things that you need to consider before you pick the node that you want to fight for. The main thing being is that you can only capture a node of equal or higher level after you get your first one. Guilds can hold 2 nodes at any one time. So for example, if you went for Western Gateway on Sunday, which is a level 2 node, you could then only go for level 2 or level 3 nodes. If you went for Kron Castle on Sunday, which is a level 3 node, you can only then go for another level 3 node. So keep that in mind so you don't shoot yourself in the foot later and you're only stuck with 1 node. The other thing to remember is that if you are planning on going for a territory fight or a castle siege, then you must own either a level 2 or level 3 node. So don't go and get a level 1 node expecting to be able to fight for territory ownership on the Saturday. Another thing worth mentioning about the castle sieges is that in order to partake in a specific territory, you have to own a node in that territory. So if you'd like to go for the Balanos territory, then you need to own a level 2 or level 3 node in the Balanos territory. If you want to go for a Media territory, then you need to own a node in the Media territory, and so on and so forth. With all that in mind, you should now be able to pick your first node that you would like to fight for. So once you've decided on the node, it's actually time to buy the fort and place it down in a good area. So the first thing that you need to do is go to the guild vendor in any major town. If you're not sure where they are, click on the NPC button on the top right hand side of your screen and select guild. This will lead you to the guild vendor. Depending on what level node you're going for, you'll need a different type of fortress. So if you're going for a level 3 node, you will need a sturdy square fort. If you're going for a level 2 node, you will need a strong square fort. If you're not sure which one you're meant to be getting, then please read the descriptions to stop yourself from selecting the wrong one and being screwed out of participating in the node war. Once you've purchased the fort, it's time to place it down in the area which you are going to be fighting for. In order to see where you can do this, open up your map and click on the node war button on the top right hand side of the map. Once you're in this, click on the relevant node which you are fighting for. This will then highlight on the map a big red area around the node to show you where exactly the boundaries for that node war are. The rule is, you can place your fortress anywhere within that node as long as the building ground is suitable. So the next thing you need to do after finding out how big the node site is to get scouting and find a decent place to place it down. Before you go ahead and place your node, you should first do a full sweep of the area. for a couple of reasons. The first and foremost reason is to scout for enemy guilds. If you see an officer from an enemy guild, or even the guild leader just stood there in that node, the chances are is that they are also placing down a fort or building up their defenses. So this will give you a good indication of where they are based, and you can then place your fort down accordingly to get a better strategic position on them. The second reason to do a full sweep of the area is to find the best position possible for your guild to fight from. Things like fighting from the top of a hill is beneficial. Fighting somewhere which would make your enemy push through a choke point is also beneficial. Fighting at the bottom of a hill is not beneficial for you, as they are going to be able to charge down and have the height advantage on you. So keep these things in mind whilst placing your fort down, because these are the things which really matter when the fighting begins. Once you have found the place that you actually want to place your fort down on, then the guild leader or an officer can go to that place and right-click the fort in their inventory. From here, you will then be shown a grid layout. You have to find somewhere which has a white box on it in order to place the fort down. If it's red, it means the terrain is not suitable to place a fort. Do not worry if there is only one grid that you can place the fort in. That's fine. You can place all your other equipment around the fort. It's not a problem. It's just you need one specific grid to actually put the fort down. Things like barricades, flame towers, and Hwachas can all be placed around that fort without much problem. Once you've placed your fort down, you will then need to actually use workers to build the fort up and get it completed. The materials required for a level 3 node are 10 usable scantlings, 20 polished stone, 2 lead ingots, and 20 blackstone powder. This can be completed by multiple workers at the same time, and anyone in the guild can participate in this. So I suggest getting each guild member to assign a few work orders each, and it will be done in just a couple of hours. Once the fort is built, it's time to start preparing your defenses for war. And there are quite a lot of different forms of defenses, so I'm going to go through them now and explain them to you so that you can get a better understanding how each of them work and how they will benefit you in a node war. So, I'm going to go through and explain them one at a time. The first one that you need to know about is the flame tower. There is an old flame tower and a regular flame tower. I would suggest going for the flame tower if your funds allow you to, because they do a lot more damage than the old versions. Flame towers are basically a massive flamethrower. They shoot flames out from them and they totally annihilate anyone that's nearby. If you're not extremely well geared or have the blessing level 3 buff from your guild skills, then you're probably going to get one shot by them. So these are a very powerful tool in sieges. You should place them strategically, facing into the way that you think the enemy is going to attack from. But you need to remember that they do require oil to be used, which you can also purchase from the guild shop. You can only have 2 of these on a level 3 node, so make sure you use them wisely and place them correctly. The next thing is a Hwacha. This is basically a massive cart of arrows which get fired in the air and land on enemies, and again does a massive amount of damage. These can wipe entire groups of players out in one hit. So again, you're going to want to place this into the direction that you think your enemies are going to be coming from. However, you can change the angle and the positioning of the Hwacha once you have placed it down, but it is quite slow. Next up is the Siege Defense Tower. I'm not going to talk about this much now because you can't use it in Node Wars, but when I talk about castle sieges in another video, these are definitely something that you're going to want to get. The next thing is the Recovery Center. These are very important. In a Node War, when you die and respawn, you come back to life with 1 HP. Putting a recovery center down will make you recover with 25% HP. You can put down a maximum of 4 of these recovery tents, meaning that when you die and respawn, you come back to life at 100% HP. These are definitely worth getting, but make sure that you spread them out so they can't be AoE'd down by either cannons or just the enemy guild attacking them over and over again. Next up is the Cannon Observatory. This allows you to build cannons during a node war. However, something worth mentioning about this is that you can only build a maximum of 3 cannons in a node war, and there is a build time on each of these cannons. So it might be worth making 3 cannon observatories if you plan on going straight away with 3 cannons to attack your enemy. Another thing you need to know is that these do not give you cannonballs. You must produce your cannonballs yourself through the Siege Workshop, which can be found in multiple towns. Next thing is the Elephant Nursery. Unfortunately, so far we haven't had a chance to test this yet, but what this basically will allow you to do is to summon an elephant, which your guild has to capture through the use of guild houses and training up an elephant to fight in the node war for you. I will provide you with more information on that in a later video once we have managed to capture one and actually try it out. Next is the Supply Depot. This is basically a mobile guild shop / repair / stables. This will allow your members to purchase things from the guild shop whilst they are at war, as well as repair their gear and recover their horses if they die. This is something that is absolutely vital in a guild siege, because it will make a massive difference of your members not having to go back to town and repair whenever they get damaged. Finally, once you have placed all this stuff down, you need to put up barricades around your base to stop the enemies from attacking from every angle. You can also put down a wooden gate which will allow your army to walk in and out of the fortress without much hassle. And the final things you should be aware of are traps. You can purchase a multitude of traps from the guild shop, and a lot of them are pretty useful, especially the stun traps. These will knock enemies down and incapacitate them for a few seconds. These can be very powerful if the enemy is trying to zerg into your base. If a load of them get knocked down, chances are you are probably going to end up wiping them. So guys, those are pretty much the basics of what you need for a node wall. Once you have all your fort constructed and you have your defenses ready, then at 2000 CEST of that specific day of when you're starting the node war, the fighting will begin. Node wars go on for a maximum of 3 hours, and if there is no clear victor by the end of it, i.e. you are not the last guild remaining, then there will be no winner of that node and it will pass over being uncontested until the following week. So you want to make sure that you're being aggressive and you are actually wiping out your competition. Also, the last thing that I'm going to mention in this video is that your fort needs to be built and completed by 1900 CEST, or 1 hour before the node war starts. If this has not been completed, then you cannot participate in that node war. So keep that in mind, otherwise you are going to miss out on an opportunity to fight your enemies. There is still a lot more detail that I could have got into, guys, but I wanted to keep this video short and concise. I do plan on doing a YouTube series for this, as there is so much to Node Wars and it is a hell of a lot of fun. So if you still have a lot of questions and there are things that you want to find out, then I'll put the link below in this video for the Black Desert Online Siege Warfare Guide. This has a lot of information in it, so I really suggest reading through of that. But I do hope that this video has been helpful for you and it has introduced you to the basics of node warfare. And if you have any more questions, then please don't hesitate to ask in the comments section or come by to my stream sometime. Anyway guys, until next time, take it easy and peace out.